This is the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast with your host, Kevin Murray.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. I'm thrilled to have a FSWA Hall of Famer on the show. It's none other than RotoWire co-founder Jeff Erickson. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kevin. Always fun talking. I love meeting all these great people in the industry. We met at an FSGA event, and we've since seen each other also at Scott Fishbowl. So always good to put name to face. I love it.
Indeed. No, it's always fun connecting with you. We did get to compete together in Scott Fishbowl SFB League last year, I believe. I made it the year before to the draft, but then last year I had some flight issues. I couldn't get to the draft, but you guys were, more than welcome to get me in there. I drafted remotely. It was the weirdest thing for a Scott Fish live draft, but ton of fun playing with you. And again, meeting with you, in past FSGAs, it's been great. So I'm thrilled to have you on this show. Obviously, we'd love to share stories, share the journeys behind some of the best analysts in this space. And so, in your case, you've been around for a while. You're a Hall of Famer. That's pretty amazing. For those listeners and viewers that might be unfamiliar with RotoWire, what is RotoWire? What's your role over there?
Sure. I am the senior editor and co-founder of RotoWire. We started the company back in January 1997. It was originally Roto News. And we went through quite a journey. It started off with baseball coverage, launched football pretty quickly thereafter. Started on the side, three of us, myself, Peter Shanky, and Herb Ilk. He's like the fifth Beatle. Herb never gets any pub because he was on the tech side, never went to any of these conferences or anything like that. And it's been a fun story. In 99, we got bought out by a company called Broadband Sports, moved from Chicago to LA. Thought I'd be in LA for a couple of years, moved back to Chicago instead, met my wife. Turns out I like her, want to be around her. So I stayed out here even when the company moved back to Madison, Wisconsin. The company that bought us was Broadband Sports. They went out of business in 2001 in the first internet bubble, and we became RotoWire at that point in time because they had our domain name and we didn't get it back from them. So we became RotoWire instead of Roto News, and kind of been through that, going up and down since then, and mostly up. It's so much fun that I get to work in fantasy sports for a living. My girls know my story. They often say it for me. I turned a hobby into a business, and it's great. It's really fantastic. The people we've met in this space, the day-to-day activity that I get to do for a living, the stuff that's considered work for me. It's surreal. It really is surreal that we've kind of created a career out of whole cloth.
Well, and there's some amazing people at RotoWire. You guys just recently, this last year, did like a rebranding, which is probably fun energy, with that that makeover essentially. Yep. But yeah, amazing people. We'll talk more about RotoWire in a bit. But yeah, you said you turned a hobby into a career. The hobby had to have been founded with a passion for sports. If we go back to early days growing up, what was your fandom with sports? When did you kind of become a huge sports fan? And who are some of the favorite players and teams across the whole sports spectrum for you growing up?
I'm sure it started with my dad. My love of sports started with my dad and my mom for that matter too. But he was a big Cincinnati Reds fan. I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana. My first baseball memory was the Big Red Machine playing the Yankees in 1976. Barely remember that, but I do remember they went to a World Series game. The Reds swept the Yankees that year. It was just weird. Indianapolis was the farm affiliate for the Reds at that time, the AAA affiliate. So that's where it started, my love of sports, just playing sports in the neighborhood too. And I just had a love for all sports, and it kind of grew that way. My mom was a big hockey fan. She has like Gordie Howe's autograph, Terry Sawchuk's autograph, and all that. So I'm a Red Wings fan because of her. My dad didn't care about hockey at all, but between the two, I saw Wayne Gretzky play as a minor leaguer actually in Indianapolis. So that was kind of cool. Also means I'm kind of old, but that's okay too. I love to watch and play sports. I used to read the baseball encyclopedia. I used to read the sport, love that Ag 8 type in the newspaper in the sports section. Used to, memorize the stats even back as a kid. So I really found the right path for what my interests were.
And a Bengals fan as well, correct?
Yep. Bengals, Reds, Pacers, and Red Wings are for the four major sports. LA teams, I like the LA Galaxy. I don't mind the Dodgers because I love taking my kids to they're not they're college age now, but my girls, going throughout the years, taking them to Dodger games and things of that nature. And it's hard to dislike this particular Dodger team because of a lot of the players on it. But it's funny. First year out here. I moved out here in '99. Pacers make it to the NBA Finals, first time. And Shaq and Kobe and all that. And I never liked the Lakers, and I kind of hated them because of that. That now as a stranger in a strange land. Then don't really hate them as much now, but I'm not a Lakers fan yet.
Well, it's got to be fun being in LA, obviously, or in that area with the Dodgers right now. You bring them up.
Oh yeah, what a game! Last night.
Yeah. We're recording this when last night it was a late one, even on the West Coast.
Yes,
watching that baseball game. Obviously, Freeman going yard dead center to win the game in the bottom of the 16th, right?
18th.
Yeah,
18
crazy. Innings, unbelievable. And this for me, it was a fun run because as a Mariner fan, we haven't had many of them.
I was just going to bring that up that you guys had your own 18 inning game though against the Astros a couple of years ago.
We did, and then we had a long one, against Detroit, right, a few weeks ago. So fun run. Baseball is pretty special, and I know you guys at RotoWire and you yourself have done a lot with fantasy baseball over the years. So I hope there's better days ahead for the Mariners. It was a fun run, but again,
absolutely.
Heartbreak is a part of sports. For you, what's the biggest heartbreak you had as a sports fan over your lifetime?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, most of my teams, that's all they know. And I went to Northwestern too, so more heartbreak there. Probably it probably is Northwestern losing in the Rose Bowl to USC, having a fourth quarter lead in that game. And the worst part was I wasn't even there. I'm one of I run into more people out here in LA who have no affiliation with Northwestern or USC that were at that game, including my wife, who was at that game. And I hadn't met her at the time. But I was in law school at the time, couldn't afford the flight out to LA from Chicago to LA. I had a ticket lined up on a place to stay. I was waiting for the loan check to come. And so I could pay for a flight. Of course you get people coming out of the woodwork saying I definitely would have lent you the money. You don't get credit for that, but I also didn't ask. So, there you go. But I guess not going to that game was probably the biggest heartbreak, seeing the purple in Pasadena, because that's never going to happen again. But we'll see about that. But there's either that or Bengals losing all three Super Bowls is pretty tough too. I went to the one against the Rams too. Took my daughter, so that was fun.
Okay. How about what's your favorite moment as a sports fan?
The fact that I got to take her in the first place to a Super Bowl is pretty high on the list. 1990 Reds, but sweeping the A's, it was pretty awesome. But the fact that I have to go that far back kind of tells you something there, right there. There's a lot of Northwestern moments. I think I'm most invested in Northwestern sports than anything else, but Reds and Bengals too are pretty high on the list. And that Pacers run last year was super fun too.
There's, you look back, a lot of people will look back to childhood, right? That's when it's like when it hits the most and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. Last year, there was a great run for your Pacers. So there's a great thing about sports for sure. Now, with fantasy sports, when was it that you first picked that up or learned about it?
93. Well, I probably learned about it when I was in college. I don't know if you remember the National. There's National Sport. They had a 2-year run, the National Sports Daily, and I'd go to Deering Library at Northwestern, and you could get a copy of it for free, and that's one of the reasons why they had a copy, and you could read it there in the library. And I'd read that there, and they had a fantasy every once in a while. They had a fantasy related column there or something talking about it there. I think Inside Sports might have had an article interviewing Daniel Okrent, talking about the invention of rotisserie baseball and how that was becoming a big thing. I played in my first league in, I say 93 or 94. No, I think it might have even been 95. It was the year after the strike. And so that I joined a league consisting of Northwestern guys that I'm still in. And in fact, It's the league that started our company. Peter Shanky, still the commissioner of the league. But my good friend from college, Jeff Bookbinder, introduced me to Peter. They played Ultimate Frisbee together. We all went to school together, but I didn't really know Peter in college. We were in different fraternities, but it's basically his fraternity league. It's called Amaki, and it's still going for baseball and football.
That's incredible. So that's a few years. That's incredible. Is that the one league that you care about the most?
Yes, absolutely.
By far.
Absolutely. And I'm struggling lately. Last year, I had a good run, but lately, I mean, we're veteran players. We all know each other, and
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
you know, I had a good 2 months of this season, and then got my butt kicked there the last stretch there in football. We'll see what happens there, but for the longest time, I was the Bills of that league. I'd always lose in the finals. I finally
Oh,
broke
geez.
through. Arian Foster got me my first breakthrough, but still. Lot of fun in those two leagues, the baseball and football both. I mean, it's the same people. The baseball one's wild. It's AL only. It's 4x4, but we've grandfathered the Brewers into the American League still because they were in there still at the time. I mean, we have some other quirks about it too, but it's a joy playing in that league still.
I love it. And what's most special to you with playing in the league with people for that many years?
Well, now we're hearing about what their kids are doing and all
Yeah.
that. We have the guy that won our league, Bill Reeder. His son is a college hockey player, and is a really good player. So it's really cool to see that. Just being in touch with everybody every single year. And it's a healthy activity. Keeps us in touch with people too. It's
I
amazing.
love it. And on the competitive front, you know every single tendency. I mean, it's got to get pretty deep when it comes to navigating waiver wires and trades and all that kind of stuff. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, and the Yang talking there, like, hey, it's my projections everybody looks at, or at least they start.
Yeah.
When they go wrong, they're like, well, you're using your own projections. Why aren't you winning? And all that. So there's that too.
Any fun traditions in that league? I mean, aside from just being such a historic traditional league, but anything fun you guys used to do back in the day with live drafts or anything?
No,
Anything
well,
unique?
the problem is I'm remote, and I wish
Yeah.
I lived closer to the guys, because a lot of them do get together at like Peter's cabin, and they'll draft in person there, and I haven't been able to make it. But now that I'm an empty nester, we'll see if I can make the trip at some point in time in March or in September for the football draft, one of the two. But it would be nice, or August, as the case may be. Trying to find a draft date is one of the toughest things always. Is you
For
can
sure.
relate to this. If you ever commissioned a league and all that, it's a real hassle. The one league that we do have a cool tradition with is the RotoWire Stake League, where every year we have a side bet. There's 8 of us, and there's a Madison version of it that's even bigger, but they want 8 of us in LA still. We get together at Taylor Steakhouse, and we have a big dinner, but we have a side bet based on total points. 8 of us participating, top 4 in points, eat for free, like drinks, appetizers, dessert, you name it. 5th place pays for himself 1/8 of it. 6th and 7th pay for 1/4 of it, and the dreaded double buyer, the last place person, pays for 3/8 of it there. And it's just, we get together for a nice dinner, and
Yeah.
we don't order $1,000 bottles of wine or anything like that. And no doggy bags allowed. You got to eat what you order. So none of that the tomfoolery there, like you'd see from like a team dinner or whatever. But still, it can get punitive.
I love it. Any all-time favorite memories just playing this great game?
Well, the worst beat I ever had was in fantasy football. I lost a championship game, and I forget the exact year, but it was the year Drew Brees set the record for like touchdown passes in a given year, and they brought him back into this game so he could break the record at home. And I lost by 0.2 of a point in that fantasy title game because they brought Drew Brees back into the game. It was a year when the Saints were just a machine too. So they would have done it the next week, but they didn't want to do it on the road. They wanted to have him do it at home.
That's amazing. So back in the day, again, when you're first picking up fantasy, like those early '90s, and obviously beyond that, do you remember some of the content that you consumed? Some of the analysts that you were actually consuming their content?
It has to start with John Hunt and Baseball Weekly, which was before it was Sports Weekly, and now Steve Gardner's carrying that torch now. And they only did baseball too at the time, but John Hunt was the man. Everybody knew who John Hunt was. He had the biggest platform. When he mentioned us when we got started, it was this big deal. John Benson was another big name. Ron Chandler was a big name. Ron Chandler, special love for Ron Chandler. He's one of the big mentors in the fantasy sports industry. He has helped launch a ton of careers, and he's always been mindful of his role in the industry too. That he's always been someone trying to promote the greater whole and not just his own company too. Something that hopefully I try to do, and others can try to do as well, because he has that spirit in mind. He's one of the godfathers of the industry. He's been amazing. On the football side, Bob Harris is one of those guys that's been doing this forever. Bob's an amazing person. there's just so many people, Kevin, this,
Yeah.
you're interviewing people in the industry just for this specific purpose too. So you've run across all kinds of great stories, just people trying to preserve the legacy of fantasy sports, and that our industry is not Coke versus Pepsi. There might be some companies that are rivals, but for the most part, the people that provide content, especially, we're all in this together. We're all trying to grow the pie. Even today, even though now that we're a mature industry, it's a little bit different than it was 25 years ago when any mention on ESPN was amazing. Oh, they mentioned fantasy. Oh, that's incredible. No, but even now, where we're a little bit more mature, we're all we enjoy each other's company. There's events like the Fish Bowl. There's events like the Expo or the FSGA conferences, Labor, Tout Wars. I'm going to First Pitch Arizona next week. It's another thing Ron Chandler did that started that up. Now it's Brent Hershey and Ray Murphy at Baseball HQ running the show, but Ron still has a big part of that. Point is, though, we all enjoy each other's company. We all enjoy trying to grow the pie. And that's one of the things I think is really cool.
So how did it begin with you with again, founding the company? Like, what was it that led to let's do this?
Sure. So Peter Shanky had the idea initially. He worked for the Wall Street Journal at the time, and he wanted to get into the internet as a whole. He was a reporter for the Wall Street Journal and saw its growth. Originally dabbled with maybe building a wedding site, saw that was already done. Instead, he came to me and Herb. Herb wanted to build the site, and Peter wanted to do the business. He goes, Jeff, you're good at our leagues. Why don't you provide a lot of the content? And we started with baseball notes and advice and kind of started from there. And we fleshed this out in December of 92. We did a drive down to the Citrus Bowl. Northwestern was playing Tennessee and Peyton Manning in the Citrus Bowl. And we drove down from Chicago down to Orlando, Florida, and fleshed out the idea on the drive down and the drive back and the whole weekend there and all that. It was a crazy drive too, like a 20-hour drive on the way home. We did it in one fell swoop, but just that got us the kernel of the idea. And okay, we could do this, we can do that. We started launching the company, did a soft launch in January 97 and, getting ready for that 97 baseball season.
That's amazing. So what's been the most rewarding part of this whole journey for you?
I mean, there's so many parts. The fact that I get to do this for a living. I mean, I went to Northwestern, which is a great communication school. I took zero zilch nada radio, TV, film classes. I was a poli-sci major, get into law school major. I was studying for the bar exam when we launched the company, passed the bar, got sworn in, never practiced a lick. So I'm a recovering attorney, but just, just seeing our company grow, get bigger, just do things, adding all these amazing people. We have like 60 full-time employees now, over 200 part-timers, just that in and of itself. And I might have the exact number wrong because I don't do hiring anymore. I get to talk for a living. It's crazy. It's surreal that I don't even deserve this background, and yet I have it. And just the fact I feel like I've kind of got the system beat. I get to talk about fantasy sports for a living, for crying out loud. I go to any one of these drafts. I go to any one of the, where I'm going to First Pitch next week. I'll see all these people I've met every year at conferences, and just like I'm kind of somebody, which is kind of cool, which is neat. It's weird, and it's like, hey, that's awesome. These are my people. This is what I get to hang around with. We get to watch ball. We'll play some poker together and just hang out, do this conference. That's amazing. The fact that I've got a job where I work a lot of hours, but they're my hours. I set whatever time frame I need. I got to be really present in my daughter's lives. I got to coach both my girls' soccer teams. I coached for like 13 years in AYSO, another amazing organization. I really, really got lucky. I could have been very
blessed,
miserable in my career. I took some chances to do this, and I'll get, hopefully I was an addition. I was able to help build this company, but I've been riding its coattails too. I really am blessed.
I love it. That's fantastic. Now, there are a lot of people obviously in this, in this community that are driven to this community because they love fantasy. They love the game.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get more involved in content creation. What advice do you have for people that are kind of looking to, get establish their own niche or to be noticed by a company like RotoWire?
I mean, just keep pounding, keep driving. It's tough. It's way tougher now than it was when we started. There was a lot of open pasture when we started. Now it's a lot more of a mature industry, but say yes. Say yes to doing, if it's podcast, to writing an article, to editing notes, whatever the company it is that wants you to do work for you, for them, do it. Start up a podcast, start up a blog, do your Twitter feeds, or, whatever the new method is too, be at the forefront, show me a new way that I haven't thought about things. I bet just get your reps, get your reps in, build your voice, build your line of analysis, believe in yourself. You got to bet on yourself. It's not going to be easy now, even with the amount of tutoring we can give, the amount of number of companies are out there. There's no like fantasy sports major you can take. So that also means there's no set path you have to take. There's a lot of ways to approach this. I'm a recovering attorney. My former co-host Chris Liss is as well. That's one of the reasons why we worked well together on radio for such a long time. I feel like we had a shared experience as far as that goes. But there's so many different ways to get in. I mean, you can come from so many different backgrounds. Don't be intimidated because the industry is more mature. You belong here. You just keep knocking on that door. Someone will open it.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, some of the events in the industry. I mean, what a great way to network, which is a huge part, meeting people. Talk about your experience just like attending a live Scott Fishbowl draft. I'm sure you've been involved in Scott Fishbowl drafts for a long time. What was it like for the live events to start, and what did you get from those experiences?
I was a little behind the curve on that. My first live one I think this was only my third live one. And I met you down at, we were down at Trophy Smack, and I know you couldn't make it last year. And now this year is a different location in downtown LA, but it's a fun celebration. And it's the essence of what we're doing. We're getting together for a draft. And one of the things I like that Scott's done is it's not restricted to just industry folks. It's avid players, people that really just want to be a part of it there. And though, they're experienced players, they're just as good a player. They may not be able to tell you who to draft sometimes, but they can draft that person very easily. And let's face it, we're not inventing the wheel here. The level of analysis has gotten way better over time, but it's still, the barrier to entry is not super high. We can do this, but I love that it's Scott's inclusive. Scott's trying to build a bigger whole, and that's one of the things I like about that. And more live events are great. Always getting together in person, shaking someone's hand, saying hello to them, hanging out with them, talking and having conversation with someone. That's what we're all about. That's why fantasy works in the first place. That's why it took off the way it did. It channels three things. One, love of sports. Two, love of gaming. And then three, sense of community. And I think all those things, all three legs are really important.
That's great. And then the expo is obviously a huge community event. Highly recommended for anybody that wants to get out to the Fantasy Football Expo.
That's on my bucket list. I haven't.
Yeah, you got to get out there. They're going to move it to July this year. I think it makes it a little easier for people that had problems in August. But it's such a great event for the community. Getting to meet people. But FSGA is another thing that I've met with you there. That's something that's a little different perspective for people that are like maybe have their own podcast, like independent. Taking the leap to go to an FSGA. What can people get out of attending an FSGA event?
I think if you're serious about wanting to do a business proposition in the industry, it's very helpful. I think it's more business oriented than content oriented. There are some years more content than others, and it's still valuable in that respect. But I really think the business side of things is a greater point of emphasis there. And I think if you're, the barrier to entry is a little higher there. There is a cost associated with the conference there. You did that yourself, and you're taking a chance by doing that there. But you also put yourself in a bunch of in front of a bunch of people there that can really further you along. So that's the thing that I think really helps. If you're just trying to start off as maybe a writer, or even like you don't know if you want what role you want to have in the community, I probably wouldn't go that route. I would probably I'd build first, then try to do something like that, just because it's not a small commitment to do that there. I'm curious about your experience. Is that kind of like the path you wanted to take first? How did you go about doing it?
Yeah, I mean, it was my first FSGA was 2019, and it really was just looking for an opportunity to meet people in the industry. The expo was not a thing really at that point, thriving. So I had freshly come off of I went to the National Fantasy Football Convention down in Texas, right? I think
Okay.
that's what it's called. It was like the Tony Romo event, if you
Right.
remember
I
that,
do
right? So
remember that.
got to meet a lot of people that way. And this was like a year before, or a year after I had won the ESPN Commissioner of the Year thing. And it was such a fun time in my life because I love, been in fantasy, playing fantasy since '95, just addicted to the game, loving everything for my leagues and trying to do everything to make my league experience fun. And so I won the Commissioner of the Year award, went to Bristol, met ESPN people there, got to spend the day at their fantasy ranking summit. So got to spend the day with the whole ESPN crew for,
Neat.
it was an incredible experience. It kind of opened my eyes to, wow, this, I've been loving fantasy for so many years, but I didn't realize this whole world existed of brands like a RotoWire or like a Football Guys or so many other companies out there doing content that as a consumer I didn't even know existed, even though I was extremely dedicated to the game. I just kind of provide, I relied on the content or the platform to provide analysts. I was very familiar with the Yahoo people or the ESPN people,
Right.
but I didn't realize what existed out there. And so then going to the NFFC conference or event, I got to meet more and more people. And I was just at a point where I thought, wow, how can I get in a position where I can, get involved in the industry, meet people. And it was, obviously there was a cost barrier there. But I took the leap. I knew other people that had done that. I know the fantasy footballers years ago just kind of took that leap. I think I probably heard their story where they went to that event and met people. And for me, it's been so much fun. And I definitely understand that for some people it just doesn't work. But on the business side, you definitely get exposed to just a different area, a different realm of fantasy in the industry, which I think there's definitely value there, at least to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love hearing everybody's different origin stories, especially because there's no one set way to get in our group.
There's no one set way. You're right. And for you, I think it's fun because you're a Hall of Famer. You've been around, you've been established. You even said earlier before the show started that you were gonna, kind of redo a studio. Talk about that. I'm excited to hear about that because there's a lot of people that are, I guess getting into it and trying to put together a studio or something that looks good visually. It's fun to hear that you have some plans for that.
Yeah. So I've lived out in the same house now for about 20 years, and about 18, 19 of them I've worked from home. We don't even have an office out here in LA anymore. The main office is in Madison, Wisconsin, but I stayed out here. But we're adding an ADU to our back and an alternate dwelling unit. And basically that's going to be my office, an office/studio. And I do all my, my radio shows, my podcasts, my TV shows on VEASAN, all from my house. So for the first time ever, I'm going to have a dedicated space. I'm not, no dog barking in the background, nobody walking through the room, as the case may be. It'll be my space. So I'm looking for tips on how to set it up, soundproofing wise, by the way. So if anybody that's a audio expert wants to give me some tips, I'm all ears, happy to hear them. But I'm excited though, because I'm finally going to get my own little dedicated space, and I can do the background the way I want. I can set things up, and it's maybe a slightly different version of a man cave, but it's cool. It's cool, my cool little carve out, and kind of the fruits of working hard for this time. Both my wife and I have good jobs now, and so it's being able to provide for ourselves is pretty cool.
It's great, and it's an open canvas. I'm excited to see how it turns out for you. You got your own little studio back there. It's gonna be great.
Exactly.
Hey, let's dive into some rapid fire questions. I'll just throw out some questions, get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
What do you enjoy most about what you're doing in the industry at this time?
I just love the fact that I get to talk about all sports, and I have multiple platforms to do it. I know how on Sirius XM there's certain time periods of the year it's only football or it's mostly baseball or all that. But I have to, whether it's podcasts or the fact that now I've been doing stuff on VEASAN, which is fun, different angle to be able to attack that there. I just get to tap into my love of sports and the fact that I love multiple sports.
That's great. Now, timing out from the rapid fire, I thought, with that, like doing multiple sports, that's it's a good topic to kind of share with people out there. A lot of people are stuck with one sport, and That's their thing. But what's the advantage, again, maybe from like a RotoWire perspective, seeing analysts out there that are doing more and more coverage, like, 'cause
Well,
it's something that people aren't doing a lot of.
it's a mixed blessing because I think the people that are solo sport, monosport, I mean, they all year long, they can dive into it there. I'll be behind some football only people in March and April for sure. And, definitely in March and April, I will be because baseball's so huge at that point in time. But the advantage is I feel I'm always tapped in, and the sports calendar is year round for every single sport. So why not be a part of it in all parts there? I mean, if I stopped enjoying a particular sport and stopped enjoying watching it, consuming it, it'd be different, but I consume what I produce. I love it.
That's great. No, that's great. Back to rapid fire. What are your favorite hobbies and activities outside of sports?
Well, it doesn't stop with just fantasy. I love playing. I mean, I play tennis twice a week, golf once. I'm in a softball team I've been on for 25 years. I coached soccer for 13 with my kids. So I actually played in an adult league for a long while. I'm not playing this fall, but we'll see what happens in the future. So that's a starting point. I mean, I like to read, playing poker. I think the intersection between poker and fantasy football and fantasy sports, that Venn diagram definitely overlaps.
Okay. How about an all-time favorite movie?
That I saw your outline on that, and I don't have one single movie I think is my all-time favorite.
Okay.
There's a ton I have on rewatch. I would probably say, something like The Big Lebowski, but there's a ton of them that I just love watching over and over again, and just trying to find new stuff because let's face it, there's a unending universe of TV shows and movies now. I think I stream more TV shows than I watch movies, if that makes sense.
Love it. How about an all-time favorite TV show?
The Wire, but Justified is a close second. I'm catching up on Fargo now, for instance.
Okay.
That's been fun, but favorite show, is still probably The Wire, and I'll rewatch The Sopranos. Current show, I don't have there's many that are good. There's not a favorite particular one though.
How about back to movies, like a sports movie, like just sports specific movie? Is there a favorite?
Probably Major League would probably be my favorite. Does Rounders count as a sports movie? Is poker a sports movie?
I mean, we can include it in there.
It's not a cinematic classic, and yet it's still enjoy watching it every time it's on.
That's a good one for sure. But no, I love Major League. That's definitely my favorite baseball movie for sure. How about a favorite food or meal?
Good barbecue and mashed potatoes.
Hard to beat that. How about a snack?
I'm a junk food junkie, Kevin. I like too many of them. That's part of my problem. I have a total bad sweet tooth, but if I want a little savory, a little like popcorners, I like that a lot. I'll just dig into that.
Okay.
Give me a good peach black iced tea from my favorite iced tea place in Monrovia, California, called the Loose Teas. Go there, give them a little shout out. But that's a nice little snack.
Sounds refreshing. How about a beverage? I mean, you said iced tea. Is that your favorite beverage?
Yeah. I can't moderate with Coke, so I don't keep it in the house. So, but I like having that a Coke or a Dr. Pepper as well.
Okay. How about a favorite band, musician, or artist?
Okay, I'm a total dork on this one. Although it's unfair they wouldn't appreciate that, but I love They Might Be Giants. I've seen them so many different times. I love them. I love Wilco. I lived in Chicago for a long time, saw them live there when they were first coming up. So anytime I can see them, I'll see them too.
How about a favorite vacation you've ever been on?
I'm going to give you two. Kauai is my favorite Hawaiian island, but also went to Spain this summer and just adored it. Madrid, Barcelona, and actually Lisbon, Portugal too. All awesome stops.
Nice. Is there a bucket list travel destination for you?
Yeah, I want to go to Japan at some point in time. I want to and explore Asia. I want to go everywhere, man. I'm an empty nester now. I really want to take advantage of that and travel more. Although I want my girls to still go with us when we.
Yeah.
That's the thing is 10 years from now, they can take their families too. We'll see what happens. I definitely want to enjoy, seeing the world while I can. One of my dad talks, my dad's 87. He can't really travel now. And he talks about the trips he didn't take and how he regrets that. I don't want to be that. I want to make sure I get to as many as I can. So I guess you could add travel as part of a hobby there too.
Well, no, that's good. I think it's very important. I love the thought behind all that. My daughter and I, or my wife and daughter and I went to Italy this last
Oh,
summer
nice.
for like 2.5 weeks, and we do want to go to Japan. So right there with you. I think there's some intrigue there for sure. But she just turned 13 yesterday. So
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah. Well, I'll
My
let her know you said so.
my eldest is 21 and my youngest will turn 19 in January. So a little bit different stage of life, but two in college right now. So it's an interesting time.
Unfortunately, it goes so fast that we're
It
not too
really
far.
does.
I'm not too far away from you, I'm sure. Back to football, though. Football, I mean, obviously, we got a Super Bowl down the road. We're halfway through the season. Well, almost halfway through the season. What's your prediction right now for the Super Bowl?
More Chiefs fatigue. I think
Really?
if you're sick and tired of the Chiefs, well, guess what? We got more for you.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Chiefs. Not sure on the NFC side yet. I think it's going to be hyper competitive. I think there's like 7 different teams that could stake a claim in a given week. I don't feel like there's one super team, but I'll say Chiefs Lions.
Okay. I'll ask because I'm biased. My Seahawks. Like, what do you think of those Seahawks this year?
They're in the picture. I was wrong about them. I thought they would really struggle. I really thought Sam Darnold would struggle behind that offensive line.
Yeah.
I didn't think, seeing how much Geno didn't have time to throw last year, I thought it'd be more of the same. And I think Darnold under pressure was a bad formula. I didn't like that they didn't really replace DK Metcalf after trading him away, but it's worked so far. Darnold's been better than I'm giving him credit. And year 2 of the Mike McDonald defense has been fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I'm fully intrigued by it because I did not expect them to be this good or be this consistent. So I'm excited. But obviously, we're talking fantasy a little bit as well. You got a fantasy MVP. Who's going to be the MVP at the end of this season?
I mean, how can it not be Taylor right now?
Yeah.
Especially because you didn't pay the first round price for him.
Yeah.
That he's just a machine right now. He's been amazing. And, sometimes you want to dig down to like 5th or 6th round to declare an MVP because of cost, but I can't. I mean, it's just, he's right as rain. He's healthy. It's every single week.
Yeah, he's been an absolute machine for sure. Great answers to all those questions. We'll conclude here pretty soon here. What are you most grateful for?
Well, I've lived a charmed life, Kevin. There's so many things. I've got a healthy family. I've got 2 great girls, a great wife. Kim and I have been together for 23 years now. And 2 awesome daughters. I get to work at what I love for a living. I've got I'm pretty charmed. So maybe unlucky in sports, but I'm way lucky in life. So I'll take that trade-off any day.
I love it. Now you've mentioned a lot of people in this episode during this conversation, but are there some people that really stand out to you when it comes to just people that have had a big impact on you during your journey in this space?
Oh yeah, tons of people, and I'd be remiss. I'm going to miss on some, but it starts off with Peter Shanky coming to me with the idea of starting the company together. Without that, none of this happens. So start there. There's a guy named Ian Chin, friend of mine. I still golf with him. He invested in us when Broadband Sports died and we were going back on our own to start our company again. He invested in us. He thought highly of us to think that we could make something out of it. He allowed us to buy ourselves back, so we had full interest in the company. So he's kind of he's not. Some people in the industry know Ian, and he's a great guy, super great guy. So I'm thankful for him. In the industry itself, I mentioned Ron Chandler, super, really good guide to the industry. Todd Zola is one of those people that gives of himself. Again, I know a lot of my influences are on the baseball side. The late Laura Michaels was amazing in that respect. You may know Rick Wolf from RotoWire CBS and, many different pursuits, but Rick's an amazing guy. That's the thing. It's like, you can go down the list. Steve Gardner at USA Today is an amazing person here as well. There's so many, I just run into so many positive people. And I think that's one of the things that I really have grown to appreciate over the years. And I know there's a ton of other folks in this space that I should mention, but I'll forget. Like Andy Behrens is a wonderful human being, always giving of his time. I've gotten to really know Chris Harris the last 5 years. I've known him for a long time, but I've really gotten to know him the last 5 years. He's a wonderful person. And it goes on and on. And every single person I interact with, they influence me. They make me a better analyst, a better broadcaster, just better generally.
That's great. And I love that you say that, because it's true. There's so many great people in this space, and everyone's kind of had their own unique path. But it's fun for me, like, just to kind of
Yeah.
see from the outside just these journeys. And so it's been fun talking to you here. Thrilled to again have you on here. Can you tell the listeners, viewers, where to find your work?
Absolutely. So rotowire.com is the starting point there. That's my company. It's our company, and we're proud of it. You can follow me on social media. I'm Jeff_Erickson on Twitter, Jeff-Erickson on Blue Sky. You can listen to me on SiriusXM, or just listen or search RotoWire when you look on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I talk a lot. I'm not quite omnipresent, but I'm in a lot of places.
I love it. Well, best of luck moving forward, Jeff. Again, thrilled to have you on here. Very much appreciative of your time, and wish you all the best.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. Until next time, be sure to follow and subscribe to all of FFU's social media accounts for daily content.